This is the Surly Grognards for October 23rd, 2017. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I have tobacco and alcohol. I am good.
We are also both somewhat sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Weird coincidence there.
yeah, really.
Honestly.
It turns out, like we were talking before we started recording, and turns out neither of us managed to get much sleep last night. It's just one of those nights where, fuck.
Something the air, I guess. We're not even really in like the same part of town. You're like way over in fucking
I'm in
Arlington?
North Arlington. I'm in Arlington Heights.
Yeah, you're way the fuck over in Arlington Heights, and I'm in Lower Somerville. So
Yeah, we're like a 45-minute drive away from each other at least.
Yeah.
I know for a fact it's like an hour on the bus.
I think it's closer to a half-hour drive, but
Well, that depends on the traffic. It
depends on
involves Mass
traffic.
Ave, so who
It
fucking
involves
knows?
Mass Ave, so it could be anywhere from 15 minutes to 6 hours.
Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ. Boston is fucking weird, people. Driving in Boston is just fucking weird, man.
You'd think to get from Porter Square to Fenway, the quickest way would just to stay on Mass Ave, but that's not true at all.
No. I swear
There
to
are
God,
several parking lots you have to cross, 3 and 2 bridges.
I swear to God, there are some side streets in Boston that are fucking wormholes.
That Boston is filled with wormholes, and navigating where the wormholes are. That's just part of living in Boston.
Yeah. Oh my God. But we're not going to be talking about Boston driving in Boston today because that. I guess we could theoretically do an entire episode on that, but why?
Yeah.
Neither of us drive that much, so Eric doesn't drive.
I don't drive at all.
Yeah. And I drive exceedingly rarely. So, I don't have a car.
Neither do I. Every time I think about getting a car, I meet with financial disasters, so I've given up.
It's like, I should get a car. Why is all my money on fire? I haven't bought the car yet. I mean, I know buying the car would set my money on fire, but...
Or a motorcycle. Honestly, a bike is much more likely for me. But
Oh yeah, I could see that. Honestly, motorcycles in Boston would be really fucking practical if it wasn't for the fact that winter.
it wasn't for the 3 months of Snowmageddon.
Oh, Boston.
6 months if you're sane.
Oh, Curious Watu. Yeah. It's a city made of the M25. You poor bastards. I'll put it this way: there's a street in Boston. There's a corner in Boston which is literally the corner where you realize it is the corner of Tremont Street and Tremont Street.
Yup.
It's a four-way intersection where Tremont Street takes a 90-degree turn. And then two other
The
streets
street I
intersect.
live on in Somerville disappears for about a block and a half before it starts back up.
Yeah. Like, if you look at a road map of Boston, it looks like someone just dropped dropped spaghetti on a sheet of paper. It makes no goddamn sense.
Well, that's
Actually,
because it was literally determined by fucking cows.
Yes. Literally determined by... It's literally, basically, they took the cow paths that existed in the Boston area back after it was settled and paved them.
Yep.
It is a... It is not, there was no planning involved in the roads in Boston. None.
Planning was for British people. How dare they come here to America? Yeah, shut up. I know. I'm being dumbass American right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Curious Watu. That is exactly what it is. It's a lot like a lot of the older towns in the UK and in Europe.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. It's almost as though they made it.
Yeah. Almost it was founded by settlers in the UK. Huh. Go figure. Anywho. I hate driving in Boston. There's a lot I like about Boston, though. But at any rate.
I adore everything about Boston except for the idea of actually getting anywhere.
Yeah. It's actually not that bad to walk, as long as,
No, it's actually a pretty damn walkable city.
Yeah. About anything else is kind of useless, though. But anyways, we do have a topic for tonight.
Yeah, we should stop. It's going to be one of those nice people.
Oh yeah, it is definitely gonna be one of those nights. Just the heads up. So tonight we're gonna be talking. We got a lovely email from Bardic DM, who watches us on YouTube, I believe, who came with a few suggestions for campaign brainstorming, which we'll probably hit at some point.
Mm.
But also had a couple of show topic suggestions. One of which was possibly talking about some anecdotes from RPG campaigns we've done that we've not been involved on stream, so they're not uploaded on YouTube or anything like that. So
Right.
stuff that we've and we've talked about. We talk about them from time to time during other topics.
Yes.
And I think we've talked a little bit about them before in the past, but why the fuck not? We could talk about them again.
Sure.
It's been a while. And so we spent some time. I spent some time trying to come up with a sort of framing question or conceit or topic to sort of bundle these campaigns into. But I'm too fucking tired, and my brain's
Shit
not
we
working.
do in meat space. I'll just call it shit we do in meat space.
Yeah, well, it's basically what it is. I mean, so I don't know how to where I'm trying to think about where to start is a little tricky for me. But I think I have a notion where I want to start, which is the sort of tie. I want to tie it into one of the campaigns I ran on stream.
Okay.
We've talked about which it's the first one I actually recorded. First game. It's actually the first game I streamed. Campaign I streamed, which was the D&D 4th Ed campaign, which the Shadowland campaign. Which it's a campaign setting which I came up with. It was initially inspired by an idea my friend Peter Shaw came up with. Basically posited around the idea of, what would it be like to play in an RPG campaign in a world where the bad guys won.
I remember this campaign.
Yes, you were involved in the iteration of it.
Yes, I was involved in the meat space version.
Technically speaking, the third meat space version of it.
Okay.
So, okay, I came up with the concept of the campaign setting for this, which is basically a world where the Drow conquered the surface and cast the overworld into perpetual twilight, basically. So that, they could live on the surface and not hate it. I came up with that campaign, God, I want to say like 99 or 2000, somewhere around there.
Thousands of years ago when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
It was before D&D 3rd Edition came out. So when did D&D 3rd Edition come out? Let me check that.
So it'd probably be around 99, I think. Or maybe 98.
It was 98 would be the earliest it happened. I will say that.
Okay.
3rd Edition came out in 2000, so it was either 98 or 99.
Okay.
Because after I graduated from college. I remember that. Yes, folks, I'm old. So the campaign was originally written in. We originally used 2nd edition AD&D. Specifically, there was a set of optional rules in the DMG for building your own classes, which were not very good. It turned out.
I remember this. They were also one of the DMG books, not the original one, but one of the expansions had ones for making your own races.
Yes, there was another one of those. Yeah, but yeah, the build your own class thing was a really interesting idea, but it ended up having this weird sort of because you basically, depending on what abilities and stuff you picked, it determined what what curve you leveled your XP worked for leveling you up, and it was not a good thing. It was not a well done thing, but it was an interesting idea, and we were using it for that campaign. I wanted to use it for that campaign, and that version of the campaign ran for all of, I think, one session. Turned out that the angle, sort of the style of game I was going for at the time, didn't really jive with the group, which happens. So we ended up sort of scuttlebuttling it and switching to something else. I don't remember what. After that, the campaign setting set up for a while, and then I ran it again. I used it again when 4th edition came out. So yeah, long jump there. So
Right.
from 98 till 2000, so literally a decade. I just realized. um, and so I came up with it again. I ran it with my right when 4th edition came out. It was the campaign setting I used for when my Thursday crew, we were trying out 4th edition. We it just come out. I was interested in trying running it, so I used that setting. And there were some tweaks and changes to it for that one. And then at some point, the Tuesday crew, which I used, the group I used to game with in Meat Space with Eric.
Yep.
I don't game with them much anymore, just because people have moved around a bunch, and where they game is now remarkably inconvenient for me to get to.
It would be inconvenient for me if I didn't have a ride for half the leg.
Right. Weirdly, it's technically closer to me than it is to you, but public transportation doesn't go anywhere near it directly.
Yeah, like I said, I have a ride for half the leg, which is the only reason why it's even remotely viable for me.
I'd have to go away from our friend's house and then back. It's stupid. Literally, I have to go towards Harvard Square first.
Yeah, it's dumb.
At any rate, so I ran it with you guys on Tuesdays, mostly because I wanted to give it a shot. I wanted to try 4th Ed with you guys, despite the fact that our friend Chris was skeptical about 4th Ed.
Right. And Leland had already determined that he hated it.
Right. I think no small part of it is just because he really, really liked 3.5.
Yeah, I think that was a part of it. He had some legitimate complaints once he played it too, and Chris also determined he didn't like it and had some legitimate complaints.
And absolutely,
yeah,
that's true for any RPG system. Like we talked about this before. There's literally no RPG system that is perfect, especially not for everybody. Like different people have different things they like about different systems.
Yeah.
So there almost certainly are people out there who actually like the Palladium RPG system. I just don't know who
wrong. They are. They are objectively wrong, but
I can't. It's one of the few systems where I'll say yes, they're wrong. That and Fatal, but that's not really an actual system so much as a collection of bad ideas and racism and sexism and general awfulness and bad math.
Yeah, Fatal sort of hangs as this sort of like level of mythic badness that I've never seen and don't care to, honestly.
Yeah, don't bother.
Like, I'm not interested to see it be bad. I mean, I've seen Whole, which is basically the same idea, but done well and hilarious, not as offensively.
Yeah. Also, it's not that Whole was not written as a legitimate attempt to try to make an actual system.
Right. There is no anal circumference stat in Whole. Or if there is, it's part of an expansion that's intended to be a lampooning of that.
Yeah. At any rate, yeah. There's a D10,000 roll in Fatal during character gen.
It seems unnecessary.
It's Fatal. Everything's unnecessary. At any rate, so that was the version I ran with you guys, and then I ran Shadowland on stream with Nick, Rolo T, Arclight, Scott, and Gav. Anyways, but we should talk about the version I ran with you guys.
Yes.
So I want to say when I came up with the campaign concept for this particular version of it, anyway, so I came up with this concept when I came up with the concept for running it in 4th edition, specifically with you guys.
Yep.
I came up with basically two possible ways to start the campaign. Two sort of starting points, and this is the same thing I presented to the version I ran with it on stream, which was either starting. There's a small area of the continent which is sort of a holdout from the last remaining free peoples who are behind this giant wall of mountains, and there are tunnels under it that the dwarves basically said, "Yeah, no, fuck you."
Right.
So the drow basically just built a giant wall and said, "Fuck it, we're not going that way." At least
Not
now.
worth the trouble type of deal. Right.
Civilization ends here. They basically built Hadrian's Wall in the south as opposed to the north. That is not at all where I got the inspiration for the wall. That is totally where I got the inspiration for the wall.
We, of course, option for option B, which was in the middle of the Badlands because we're bad people.
So yeah, they chose to start off as people, adventurers in the area where the Drow had conquered. Whereas the online version started south. It's not a big change, but I started the player. I basically started the campaign you guys off at level 3 as opposed to level 1.
Right.
Just because most of the stuff I had set up north of the wall it would have been
required to be bigger.
A little bit bigger, yeah.
Must be to this tall to ride to start the ride type of deal.
Basically. But the game started off with it was really weird. It was a slightly different mix of players when we started, and we added more players as we
because it was initially
you, Chris, Hannah, and Dan, I believe.
Yeah. I had to drop out in the middle of it and then come back because of something I had to do in the evenings. I forget what. It just happened to fall in the evening everyone else had available. So Right.
We stopped that. We put that campaign on hiatus and did something else for a while, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And then Dan couldn't make any more, but Leland agreed to try out 4th edition finally.
Right.
And
And
Will started gaming with us by that point.
Yep. No, I remember liking Leland's character, which was the teleporting melee warlock.
Yep.
Partially because we had fun playing off of each other. He was playing an Eladin warlock. I was playing a half-orc barbarian, and the comedy writes itself.
Yeah. An Eladrin knight and and a half-orc barbarian prince.
Yep.
Literally, Eric's character was.
My character was a prince. I took the noble trait.
Yep.
Remember the whole idea was my character was not terribly bright, but was supposed to be the firstborn. So they're like, yeah, you need to go and
prove yourself.
Bring back the head of something really kick-ass to prove your worthiness, and totally die while out there, so your much smarter, not as strong brother can take over.
At least that was your father's plan, I believe.
I think that was the father's plan. Yes.
If I remember, it was your father's plan, and your brother was like,
Yeah, the brother was like, I don't want to be in charge. I don't like people.
Yeah, but at any rate, we never got to that dealing with that part of it. I had plans for that, actually.
Oh, did you?
Oh, God, of course I had plans for that, Eric.
That's awesome. Of course you had plans for it, but I just sort of assumed it was something that you'd like, let's you come up with a plan for that. It will never happen. Eric is guaranteed to get himself killed before that happens.
No, that was not what I was thinking.
Okay.
It was just one of those things that it was a back burner idea that if you guys ever ended up going in that direction, I would have dealt with it. But yeah, so you were playing your half-orc part. So, anyways, the initial incarnation of the party was you as your half-orc barbarian, Chris is a half-elf thief, if I remember remember correctly. Hannah was playing a warlock, a tiefling warlock.
Tiefling warlock. I remember her going on and on about her glorious horns.
Yes, and tail.
Yep.
And Dan was playing a Warforged fighter, I think, something like that.
I don't remember what Dan was playing at all.
Yeah, he was playing a Warforged fighter. I'm almost positive because he was the lone non-striker of the initial crew.
Right. Yeah, we were totally overbalanced for damage with that group. The whole time.
Yeah, and the initial version after we came back with Will and Leland Leland was playing the melee warlock, and Will was playing a dragonborn fighter.
A great weapon fighter.
Yes.
Kit it out for more damage.
Yes.
The best status effect is dead.
That was your plan for a while.
That was our plan for a while.
Eventually, Chris switched out of his thief to a drow. So we ended up having some drow who are not like completely awful.
Right.
Which
Chris was part of some cult whose whole plan was to reform the drow empire and bring them back in the fold of the moon goddess.
Right. So he was playing a hybrid ranger.
But Barbarian thought was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and he thought it was funny too.
Yes.
He was playing a.
So Chris thought it was funny. His character took it deadly serious.
Oh yeah. He was. So he ended up playing a, as I said, a hybrid ranger
cleric, if I remember correctly. Which he liked a lot more than the thief, because the thief was. He just wasn't clicking with the thief, which I didn't understand because he had so many like movement tools available.
There were a lot of things he liked about it, but he felt like he wasn't. He wanted to have some ways to the party was healing light, although we did have a party NPC bard.
Right. Another drow, if I remember correctly.
Yes, she was assigned to you. She was assigned to you guys as a party NPC by the drow noble you guys were doing some work for.
Yep, I remember now. Lady Pridwin.
Pridwin, yes. Well done,
okay.
Eric. You remembered a name from a campaign that happened like 6 years ago.
It's a very elfy name.
Pridwin was a major NPC in both that version of the campaign and in all the versions of the campaign I've run of that. All three of the 4th Ed versions I've run of it. She's the token reasonable authority figure type.
Right.
Who is drow. I totally did not model her at all. A little bit significantly on Vetinari from Discworld. No, not at all.
No, I didn't see that at all. What? Why would you do that?
Vetinari's fucking awesome.
He is. Never build a prison that you wouldn't be comfortable in, and never build a prison you can't walk out of.
Yep. Oh, she totally had that.
Well, of course, it's a great idea.
Oh God! At any rate, So that campaign ran for a while until Leland basically just really got sick of 4th Ed.
Yeah, Leland got sick of 4th Ed.
He liked the campaign idea a lot. I could tell, definitely.
Yes, I think that's what kept him going. Honestly, was he liked the character interactions. He legitimately enjoyed the way all the characters were interacting.
Yep. And he liked the setting.
And he really liked the setting and the stuff we were doing, but the system was driving him mad. And I've had this exact experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that I was totally okay with that. Because he gave it a shot.
Yep.
And he did his best to have fun with it. He genuinely did. I have no problems with that at all.
Yeah.
So
I had a lot of fun with that game.
It was a good game.
With that campaign. Largely because I don't often get to be crazy and cinematic with that crew, outside of the occasional Feng Shui game. And that character is all about being crazy and cinematic.
Yes. Oh God, yeah. I mean, the Rageblood Barbarian is all about running around and smacking things really hard and bouncing. Drop that guy, charge this guy.
He was a murderous little pinball.
And having enough survivability to do that.
Yes.
I
remember Will was really jealous of my spike damage and my mobility, and I was really jealous of his ability to control the battlefield.
Yes.
there was a very much a grass is greener on the other side with both our characters.
Yeah, while both of you still loved the character you were playing too.
Yes, we wouldn't have traded for one another, but yeah.
It's oh God damn it, I wish I could do damage like Eric does. You're like, God damn it, I wish I could control the battlefield the way Will did.
And when we did the D&D game on stream, I totally played a dwarf fighter because I wanted to be able to control the battlefield.
because
It was
it's
also a lot of fun for an entirely different reason.
yeah. I God damn, I love what they did with the fighter in fourth ed.
Mm. Yeah, I want to try fifth ed at some point. I really do, because generally the way I judge an edition of Dungeons and Dragons is by how much fun I can have with a fighter.
Yeah, I can see that totally.
Because the fighter is generally the weakest class, and how much fun you can have with a fighter mechanically is basically how good the system is.
Yeah, I would say
And you
that.
can
I
have a
mean,
lot of fun with a fighter up until the round 6th or 7th level, where the mage just starts doing your job better than you.
well, base kind of yeah. I mean, I will say this: for all the crap we give AD&D, the fighter didn't suck in AD&D.
This is true.
Uh, AD&D was basically the fighter was one of the best damage dealers in AD&D. Honestly,
Yeah, well, first ed is an entirely different.
both first and second.
Yeah, and speaking of which, the campaign that I played in with not with Peter, but with a different crew was let's play second edition D&D and adapt a bunch of like really old modules we have lying around.
Yep.
That was a really fun game entirely because of Mike the Game Master and the people I was playing with and our characters. I hated the system so much.
Yeah.
Like I ended up like going, guys, can we play? I hate to do this, but can we play something else? I hate this game system. Can we transfer our characters over to third?
Yeah. I did something. Actually, we did some. My Thursday crew did something similar. My friend Peter ran a campaign using second edition with a bunch of old basic D&D modules.
Mm.
Almost entire. They were all basic D&D modules. He basically up-teched to second ed. We were going for a very old school feel for it, and yeah, I kind of had a similar sort of feel to it. I don't like second edition that much anymore. It didn't help that I was playing a fighter cleric.
Right.
The fighter part of it was
Second
fine.
edition, I actually I enjoy less than first.
I can see that, honestly.
Largely because first has the excuse it's their first time running through shit and all this other stuff, and figuring out that the concept of a role-playing game is. Second does not have that excuse.
Well, second does fix some problems first, though, it has, but it also introduces some other. But we're not really going to be we're not here to talk about which versions of D&D we like better than others. I mean,
right?
We've done this. We had an entire show on this. And the conclusion, I think, is that your preferred version was 3.5, right? Of the ones you played.
I also like between 3.5 and 4 because they're honestly entirely different games that just happen to share Dungeons and Dragons.
There are definitely core elements that are that are the same between them. Like
yes, but they feel very differently, very different in practice.
Absolutely.
And like fourth does some things better that I enjoy, while 3.5 does other things better. So it really comes down to which I enjoy more, which I feel like doing more. So,
and I basically, I mean, I mean, as we'll sort of, in a nutshell, for me, fourth ed is by and far my favorite version of D&D that I've played. Like it's not close. Specifically from the DM seat, especially because I run the game more than I game master more than I play because well, I'm one of the people who is more than willing to game master in the area of the people I know. So
yes, you actively enjoyed a lot more than anyone else I know, really.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing it long enough.
Yeah.
The second campaign I was ever involved in, I was the dungeon master. Back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and Return of the Jedi hadn't come out yet.
Yep, thousands of years ago.
I've mentioned I'm old, right? But yeah, so yeah, the game that my friend Peter put together for that, Peter Shaw put together for that was so we played a bunch of classic like we started off with Keep on the Borderlands. Like we're talking like genuine, like, we went through Isle of Dread. That was the last one we did.
Nice.
Isle of Dread was, Isle of Dread Isle of Dread is really interesting.
The funny thing about when Peter was doing, when not with your Peter, when Mike was doing that was he didn't tell us what modules he was running, so there was a part of the game of trying to figure out which one it was we were in the middle of, until we got to the Temple of Elemental Evil, because everyone had done Temple of Elemental Evil a couple times. So
Right.
when he finally got there, it's like, aha! We know what we're doing.
Did you guys get through the whole temple?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Basically, I got fed up with the game before we
Yeah,
finished
because
it.
the temple is huge.
Yeah,
And I want to also say, I want to give serious credit to people who put that together. That is one of the most amazingly constructed modules I've ever
it
seen.
really is.
Because it is scientifically designed to take you. If you ignore the, like, if you include the Village of Hamlet part of it, it literally can take you from level 1 to level 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally constructed to basically it's a ginormous dungeon. Like, it is fucking huge. But yeah, and it's really well constructed, and it's constructed to be sort of to be the steady sort of level of challenge the whole way through.
Yes,
It's really well thought out.
it's really well done. And then you run into the fucking ghouls.
Yeah, well, fuck ghouls. Fuck AD&D ghouls. They're jerks. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I ran a fair bit of. I mean, I played and ran a fair bit of 3X, and God, I got fed up running that system.
I totally grok.
I will say flatly, the biggest breath of fresh air for me in fourth edition was how much easier it was to run it as a game master.
Mm.
Like, the way they changed how monsters work was so fucking huge.
Yeah, because they finally introduced minions after they'd been a thing and like a staple for a while in a bunch of other systems.
Yeah, that wasn't even the biggest part of it. It was just the way they had the sort of codified stat blocks, and
And the templates you could apply to things.
and the templates you could apply to things, but also just the fact that the monsters, when you put together a monster for fourth ed, it doesn't follow the same rules that players follow.
Yes.
And the reason that's good is because it's simplified, it's streamlined, and it means you can really easily put together what you want to put together.
Mm.
And it really makes it really easy to swap bits and pieces out between monsters and such, and without breaking the challenge without breaking their challenge. It was really well thought out and very easy, and it wasn't just that it was well balanced against each other. There were of course balance issues, because of course there were.
Right.
But it was also just so easy to do. This is of course not to say there weren't issues with fourth edition. There were, but back to the actual campaigns though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was so yeah, there was the fourth ed game you ran with us,
yeah,
which was
it was
a lot of. I actually ended up when Chris for the Tuesday crew after you left ended up running Pathfinder for a while. I more or less brought back my barbarian for Pathfinder. He wasn't a noble this time, but
right. Yeah, I really liked that character. He was definitely, and I really liked the way he played off of both Leland and Will's characters.
Yes,
specifically.
Well, just the whole differently moraled thing.
Yeah.
With the two of them was like, because Will's character was like an ex gladiatorial slave.
Yep.
And my character's like, but no, slaves are cool. What do you mean you were born into it? You're not born into slavery. That's dumb. Who gets born into slavery?
And you've got this elven knight,
Yes.
and you had this weird sort of this weird sort of respect thing with Chris's character because she was a priest.
Yes. Well, she's a priest. You have to respect the priest. I thought her plan was stupid, but she was very good at her job, and you always respect people that can talk with spirits.
Yeah.
If the spirits can talk to them, that means the spirits respect them, which means you should too. The end.
Right. And I forget the interactions you have with Hannah. I don't remember Hannah's warlock. I forget.
We sort of avoided each other because we weirded each other out.
Yeah. Like the sort of the warlock pact thing made like you got the pact thing with Leland's character because his pact was his liege lord.
Yeah, and it's like that makes sense.
Because,
but Hannah's was
he was
literally she went the whole like outsiders and creatures from the outer dark thing, and I'm like, those should not exist. No. That's weird shit. That shouldn't be a thing.
And she mostly agreed with you.
Yeah.
That was it. No, they're awful. I just know how to draw on their power and use it to help people.
Right.
Like, what?
Meanwhile, like Tarek's like sheer like orgasmic joy at physical violence.
Yeah.
She's like, that's not right. Someone should not have that much fun while covered in viscera.
This is great. It was an interesting crew.
Yeah. Funny thing is that when I brought that character back for the Pathfinder game, like half-orcs are very much like in that world, half-orcs are very much like a looked down upon thing. Like, someone had sex with an orc, and that's not cool because they didn't breed true in that world.
Right.
So like, he identified himself as human. He thought of himself as human, but when he raged in combat, it was very much letting go, and it was less the like releasing all that pent up rage. It's just letting his orc half go and just having fun with it.
Right.
It was the way he dealt with the other half of his heritage.
Right. Okay, that's cool. I like that. That's really neat.
And it was a considerably more animalistic while fighting, because there was one of the things in Pathfinder they added for barbarians was rage powers you can use while you're raging.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ones I picked up was a bite attack because I thought it was hilarious.
Nice.
So like after a fight, like everyone turns to me as like there's bits of people stuck in my teeth. It's like, whew, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a nap and pick that goblin out of my teeth.
Ew. Ew. Oh God. Yeah, I mean there were several. I mean, there was. I will say this also. Eric and I played in a bunch of games together off stream.
Yes, absolutely. Like it was. Yeah, until we just ended up on other sides of a inefficiently designed city.
Yeah, basically. What was the first game I ran? We did together.
Oh, geez. Oh man, that's way back in the midst of time when I was.
The Feng Shui game?
It might have been the Feng Shui game.
I think that might have been the first RPG we did together.
I think there was one earlier, but it was way back when I was drinking too much. So I don't remember it very well.
I don't remember.
Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was someone else.
I think it was someone else. Okay, so Eric and I have known each other we actually knew each other for several years before we actually started role-playing together.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I helped our mutual friend Gawkroach out with a scenario idea for the Farscape game that you were playing.
Yep, I remember that.
I wasn't playing in that game. I heard about it. I thought it was really neat.
That was also a fun game. That was the game of mutually assured self-destruction.
Yeah, I remember. I heard all the stories, which we'll get to in a minute, I think, because yes. I love some of the stories about that. But yeah, that was I remember thinking that was a neat idea, but I wasn't really. I wasn't part of that group of people in general. Like I knew you and Roach. I knew everybody involved in that game actually. And I'm thinking, well, no, I didn't.
Did you know Matt at the time?
I knew Matt at the time. Yeah, I knew you, Roach, Matt, and Hakeem.
Right. Yeah, because Chris ended up joining real late in that game towards its end.
Oh, and Chris, of course, yeah. But I didn't. I didn't. I don't think I
You
knew
didn't
anybody else.
know you didn't know Tall Melinda or Red Megan.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I think I've met Melinda once.
Right.
I don't think I've ever met Megan.
I think you met I think you met Little Melinda.
Okay,
I
can't
don't think
remember.
you've ever met Tall Melinda.
That's entirely possible.
'Cause that's how we could tell them apart. Tall Melinda was about 6 feet tall. Small Melinda was like 5 feet and change. So that's just how we told when we talked about them when they weren't around. That's how we had defined them, and they both understood this and were fine with it.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't. But yeah, I remember Roach approached me about the concept, and because he knew I knew a lot about sci-fi tropes,
Right.
because duh, and he, Roach and I have very different sort of ideas on game mastering in general, I think,
Yes.
but we respect the crap out of each other's game mastering styles.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Um, But yeah, his so it was it was built on basically a big dumb object.
Right. There was the MacGuffatron.
Yeah, it was a giant wrecked space station basically. I forget the. It was the thing that led to the.
There's a MacGuffatron that led us to the space station.
Yeah, well, the space station was what we talked about.
Right.
What I helped them out with, like some of the ideas of how the station itself was fucking with you guys.
Yeah. I remember the MacGuffatron actually implemented the giant intra-party fight.
Yes. That led to the cold-blooded murder of one of the player characters by one of the other player
Totally
characters.
had it coming. Totally had it coming.
Yeah, well, he was a sociopath.
With some pretty heavy psychopathic tendencies.
Yeah, he was most of the people at that party, from what I understand, were pretty terrible people.
We were all very bad people. That was very much an evil campaign.
Yeah.
I feel like I should tell some stories about
You should
this.
tell some story about this one
Okay.
because they're good.
Okay, so the Farscape game was basically Farscape was still in the air at the time. That tells you how long ago it happened. It was part of the whole 3.5 open source D20 glut of games that happened.
Yes, some of which were not bad.
Some of which were not bad. So we were all avid Farscape fans. So we're like, well, we will play a Farscape game. Some of us will pick up the book, and some of us will pass around the Game Master hat, and we'll play the game, and it'll be awesome. And it was. So I was playing a Luxon pirate named Garek. Hakeem was playing a Sebastian pirate. Sebastians are basically space humans. For those who don't know, Luxons are giant, are squiddy space Klingons. Roach was playing a Nabari scientist.
Yep. Former mind cleanser, if I remember correctly.
Former mind cleanser, yes. Like he used to like basically brainwash people. And then decided to leave because, well, he knew things he shouldn't, which meant he was next on the docket.
Right.
Linda was playing a Nabari engineer. Red Megan was playing a. Oh, what was the name of the race? The Blue Plant people.
I forget the name of the race.
Zahn from the show, if you've seen it. She was playing that race and a commando. That character was very broken mentally.
Uh-huh.
And Chris was running it for a long time. Oh, Matt. Matt was playing a. They looked vaguely human, but had a lot of tattoos. I can't remember what the. With no sexual dimorphism, they all look like guys to outsiders. I can't remember the name of the species, but they look very human.
Yeah.
And he was playing a scavenger. That scavenger, Vesser, that was his name. Vesser was probably the most memorable character out of that because Vesser was a complete and utter sociopath, a habitual liar, stupendously paranoid, incredibly charming, and put no value on life, including his own whatsoever.
Right.
He was the worst person out of a group of psychos, lunatics, and, in my case, self-destructive drug addicts. The funny part was, every time someone tried to establish who was in charge, Human Mind's pirates would basically unite to completely undercut them, because the hierarchy is dumb. That was our reasoning. That was the entirety of our reasoning. Hierarchy is dumb. And like, there was poor Akeem's character. Akeem was the best in the crew on a lot of things, but every time it came to a clinch, he couldn't roll. So he just had this joke that his character was just choke.
Uh-huh.
And our characters were best friends. We would go out, we'd get stoned, and we'd do terrible things together on our off time. There was a brief bit where we needed to infiltrate the peacekeepers, and Keem's character was the only one that could impersonate a peacekeeper. The only Sabatian on the crew. So we captured a Sabatian officer who was female, and then Roach used his spooky mind cleansing techniques to strip out all the pertinent information from her and then implant it in Akeem's brain. This had the long-lasting effect of Akeem's character having a weird crush on mine, despite being 100% heterosexual. Which was hilarious and occasionally awkward. We played it to the hilt. It was great. We were very much heterosexual life partners. Akeem eventually ended up having to leave the game for I forget what reason. It was very much he didn't want to, but he had to. Yep. And left the crew by leaving my character a Dear John note. So my character is sitting there reading it on the bridge, looks up at Roach's character and goes, "I think he just broke up with me." But yeah, back to the thing you helped Roach on with the Space MacGuffin. So we get a Space MacGuffin. The Space MacGuffin is very much an eldritch piece of precursor technology that it is very spooky. Like, it weirds everyone out. But it will probably lead to treasure. If it doesn't lead to treasure, it's guaranteed to lead to treasure. Come on. Who leaves one of those things out there and gets everyone killed? That would be stupid.
Yep.
At least that was my reasoning.
Yep.
So, we're in our ship, the Gray Area, which is a literary reference from an Ian M. Banks book. And Matt's like, paranoid psychopath is like, and we'll jump out an entire AU away from the system and go in under sublight. And that's just how we're going to do it. Okay, guys? Yeah, sure, whatever. Because that's how we're going to do it, right? Yeah, sure, whatever. So it ends up being the cycle with just the two pirates on the bridge. He's like, it's going to take us like a week to come in at sublight from an AU out. Let's just jump in next to the target, like we usually do. What's he gonna do? You think I should do it? You should totally do it. I'm gonna do it. You should do it. So we do. Visser having like rigged up some sort of early warning system on the bridge because he's a crazy man. Bursts on the bridge like, "What did you do?" We jumped in next to the target. Nothing exploded. No one's on fire. Looks like things are fine. Take us back out. That's stupid. We're not doing that. Take us back out, or I'm blowing up the bridge because I have a bomb on my chest. He had a bomb on his chest. Which led to a brief firefight, and eventually everyone calming down. My character deciding to get stoned out of his mind because it's how he dealt with stress, and relaxing and everything else. He was a wreck. And Roach is like, okay, so at this point, my character has to kill your character, Matt. I know. So he's probably going to see it coming, right? Yep. He's expecting it. Okay. So I know what I'm going to do, Matt. I'm sorry. It's okay. This has been a long time coming. So what Besser does, Roach's character does, is he goes, okay, clearly the device is messing with people's minds. There is no reason anyone would react this way. Of course, there are reasons people would react this way. So he starts gathering people up to do brain scans to see how the device is affecting them. And he starts with the other Nabari, Melinda's character. Then he moves on to Akeem's character. Then he goes to do me, sees I'm stoned out of my mind, goes, yeah, the scans aren't going to work on that. Besser will move on to you. And he's like, okay, fine, I will go. This is my show of good faith. I will totally do this. So, the scan involves, like, sitting someone down in the chair, and, like, these devices on robot arms come and scan your head, and, like, Besser looks at a display and takes notes. So what happens, he sits Besser down in the chair, and the robot arms come down, and Roach's character looks at the display and pushes the button, and the medical scalpel promptly bisects Besser. Just straight down the middle. Kills him outright. And Matt was like, damn, well done. I knew it was coming, and I didn't see it coming. Which, of course, prompted another firefight through the ship, because now someone's just killed Besser. At which point, I'm like, my character's too stoned to participate. He probably thinks it's all hallucination. At which point, Matt starts playing my hallucinations. So everyone's running back and forth and setting up, like, kill corridors and everything, and shooting at each other and everything. I'm just wandering around the ship, blaster bolts going back and forth, arguing with an invisible Besser. Until eventually everything calms down, no further casualties. And we proceed to loot Besser's room, which turned out was filled mostly with trash. Trash and booby traps.
Yeah. Of course there are booby traps for everything I've heard about Besser.
So yeah, that was probably the most memorable part of that campaign, honestly.
Well, it's one of the most memorable parts I've heard from almost any game. I mean, that's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was just everything, and everyone was like having a great time. Either there was no ill will between anyone in the group. It was like, this is great. It's like paranoia.
I mean, that's one of those things that only can work with a group of people who know and trust each other and know,
Yes. And have gamed together before, and yeah. And yeah, there was a very much I'm sorry, you know what's coming. This has been a long time coming. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. So, yeah, that was just, I had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, It was one of those games I loved hearing about and knew I would probably not.
Oh, you would go fucking crazy. Are you kidding?
I'm really bad at playing bad guys.
Way. You would be like, you would hate it.
I'm really bad at playing bad guys, which is funny since I'm a game master.
Right. But yeah, that was the legendary Farscape game.
Yeah.
Which eventually dissolved the same way most of the games that I'm in, and that just sort of eventually just dissolved it collapsed under its own weight.
Yeah, no, that happens a lot.
Whether due to people getting character fatigue or what have you.
Yeah.
Fucking Red Megan's Denobulin? No, that's something else entirely. But her commando, like, because her species doesn't have bones and therefore doesn't have calcium, shatter grenades were a device that removed all the calcium from people's bones. So she made a habit of just dropping shatter grenades at her feet and yelling bones, which are our signal to get the fuck away from her.
Right.
The amount of puddles we had to sweep up.
You.
Mostly intact bags of meat.
Yeah. I think The closest I've come to playing actually playing as a bad guy in any of the campaigns I've been involved in was probably the Star Wars game our friend Chris ran.
Yes.
Well, that's not true. It was the one session of the Shadowrun game you ran.
Yeah, where I determined that I just did not like running Shadowrun.
Right.
Like I did not have any fun running that game.
Yeah. That was I will say flatly that was not me or Hannah's fault.
No.
We were within your guidelines.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to do a street level game with where everyone's like very much like the idea is to be struggling to like get by type of deal. So build your characters appropriately. Chris and Leland just when it comes to Shadowrun, they can't help making crazy over the top characters. Like
Yep.
it's an instinct that they can't resist.
And it's understandable, but yeah,
Sure.
And their characters were dialed back for them, from what I understand.
Yeah, they were very much dialed back for them, but they were way more powerful than I was prepared to deal with.
Yep.
And it was also just very much drove home something that I'd kind of knew but hadn't tested yet. That I just, while I enjoy playing Shadowrun, I don't enjoy running it.
Right. Absolutely. But yeah, that was my attempt to try playing a functional sociopath.
Right.
And was doing pretty well with it for the session, but
yeah, I mean, it was just one session. You also clearly weren't terribly enjoying the character.
it was one session. It's hard to judge. I don't judge a character on one session, but
right. I very much got the impression that you weren't digging the character very much.
No, I think I might have enjoyed it more once we established more inter-character relations, but like my continuing exasperation with Chris's character about being really bad at covering her tracks.
Yes.
It's like, my character was basically an ex profiler.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, you're leaving physical evidence behind. You were smoking while on watch.
Shoot them? Why did you shoot them? They could trace the bullet, you know. Use a knife. You had a knife.
No, the worst was like he was leaving. From my character's point of view, he was leaving people alive behind, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, stab.
Yeah. And slit that throat, and slit that throat, and slit that throat.
And Chris's character was absolutely horrified by how just casually, murderous my character was. It's like, why would you? It's like, why'd you kill that guy? He was a witness. What?
He saw everything we had done. That can't be allowed to be left behind.
We were instructed to not be to go in like ghosts and not leave. We're supposed not to be known that we did this. So
I made sure that it wouldn't. So I made sure, and I remember going, wow, I was not prepared for Peter to be this murderous. Well done, Peter.
I'm a game master. What do you expect?
I know. I was just like, I did not expect you to be this murderous. Well done. You have surprised me. That says a lot.
Well, again, it was also like it was sort of part of what the character was supposed to be. So
Right.
But the actual character I was talking about was the Star Wars game.
Yes.
Where my character was nominally a villain.
Yes.
Nominally, technically, a crook. He was a crook, not a villain, really.
You were a villain in the same way the cast of Leverages are villains.
Yeah. Or Firefly, for that matter.
Yeah.
There was a lot of unintentional Malcolm Reynolds in him. It was not my plan. It just happened.
There was that whole game that whole crew was like just sort of accidental pastiches of other characters from science fiction. Like there was my Wookiee Kenraku who I realized I was playing Dave Lister when Will turned to me and goes, "Are you playing Dave Lister?"
With a penchant for explosives.
Yes. I was like, I guess I am. Yes, I am playing Dave Lister. And you're basically Malcolm Reynolds. Hannah's Twi'lek engineer was basically
It was basically Kaylee.
Basically Kaylee. Like all sweetness and innocence and tactical know-how. Chris is running that didn't really have a character in it.
Yep. I mean, he had an NPC that hung around with us, but he was
Oh
not.
right, Keith,
Yeah,
the
kid.
scrappy kid.
Yeah. Yeah, my character was Scoundrel. Literally, it's the class. What the class is called.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars D20. Uh, Leland is basically playing a Jedi. Basically, not
No,
Will.
that was Will.
I
Will
meant
was
Will.
playing the
I meant
Jedi.
Will. Leland is playing the assassin droid.
Yeah. It wasn't even an assassin droid. It was one of the prototype commando droids from the Trade
Yes, he was
Federation.
an assassin droid.
Yeah. I think it was
Let's-
technically a soldier was the class he had.
Yes, he was. Yeah,
Okay.
he was. With some other stuff. I forget. Yeah, at any rate, yeah. That was an interesting group because it started out with just Yumi and Hannah, and then Leland and Will joined later.
Yes.
And so, like, the three, like, Yumi and Hannah, we actually had sort of, our characters had enough time, like, had time to, get to know each other and become friends. Basically, our characters became friends
Yes.
and trusted each other. And then Leland joined, and
Just sort of like, I'm part of your crew now. Are you gonna tell the assassin droid no? No, are you? No. Ken, tell him no. Are you fucking crazy?
yeah, he stuck around because my character, I mean, like, my character was the captain of the ship because that was
Right.
what he. I was the pilot in I was the only person with piloting an astrogation at anything resembling good levels, and I had them at ridiculous levels because
Right, 'cause
Scoundrels
you're
get
playing
a
a
fuck ton of skill
Celestin.
points.
Right. But still playing a Celestin, which had some sort of giant bonus to astrogation.
Yeah, it wasn't that giant. It was like +2.
Oh, okay. It felt giant.
Giant because my character's stats were set up to be good at both piloting and astrogation. I had the lever for and both those skills shoved all the way forward. Like my two best stats were literally Dex and Intelligence,
Mm,
with Charisma not that far behind. The rest of my stats were mediocre at best.
right. Yeah, I remember you being exceptionally weedy.
Yeah, my con wasn't very high. My strength wasn't very high. My wisdom was average. Like I literally only I had I think con 12, Dex 18, Intelligence 16, Charisma 14, and then I had 10s in strength and wisdom, and I think 12 in con.
I have no memory whatsoever what Ken's stats were. He
you're-
had a high strength. He was relatively dexy.
You had good. You were very strong because you were a Wookiee. You had really good con because you were a Wookiee. You
Right.
had good Dex because duh.
Right,
your
because
int
I was playing a scout. That was my class.
Yeah, your int and wisdom were there, and your charisma was okay.
My wisdom was my dump stat. I remember my wisdom being my dump stat because it was funnier that way. That was the entire reasoning behind making it my dump stat.
Oh yeah,
I thought it would be funnier.
and you had reasonable charisma too.
Yes. Yeah, everyone liked it because everyone liked Kenny. Kenny was awesome.
Well, he was a good guy. But yeah, so Leland's droid DY was part of the crew largely due in because we were all terrified of him.
Yes. He sort of announced that he was part of the crew. We're like, okay, cool.
Well, he wants to hang around with us and is being helpful, so yay.
Okay.
I nominally, quote, had plans to deal with him if he ever went rogue. I didn't actually have plans to deal with him if he ever went rogue.
Right.
I had really had, like, the extent of my plans was I had EMP grenades. Literally, that was the extent of my plans. It was like, I can't take him in a fight.
Kanarako never had plans beyond the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Largely because that was about as far as his memory stretched.
But yeah, my character was. If my character had, like, I described the character as a smuggler.
Mm.
That was his big thing. I mean, he's a starship captain and he was a smuggler. He was, there were little bits of Han Solo in him, but it was more Malcolm Reynolds. And we did a lot of odd jobs and shit.
Yeah.
Will's character was nominal. It was built using the Jedi Guardian build class, but Will found some
some weird offshoot of the Jedi that he was a part of, and
I
didn't
forget what they
consider
were.
himself a Jedi. Yeah,
They didn't consider themselves Jedi, but they also they loathe the Sith.
right.
Um,
Poor Will.
Will
He tried to
had
join the like.
Will
He had
has
this tendency when he joined our games to do exactly the wrong thing.
I felt so bad for Will because I was like, but you're pushing all of Nalem's buttons, Will. I'm sorry, I have to pull a gun on you.
So Will's character, the whole reason for wanting to join the crew is he's been plagued by visions of us, and that he needs to help us. He's not sure why or how, but he knows he needs to be there to help us.
Which is cool. I love that.
Yes, which is actually a really good way to get a spiritual character like a Jedi in a crew of scoundrels.
We were, and I'll be honest, we were good guys for the most.
We were absolutely good guys. We were very much the crew of the Serenity / Maya when they weren't being terrible people. Accidentally being terrible people. The Farscape crew was never intentionally bad people.
Right. Like, we ended up working with the Rebellion a lot, although we all steadfastly refused to actually join the Rebellion.
Yeah, we're not actually rebels. Screw you.
But yeah, Will joining was
contentious.
So he shows up, and he says, "You're Captain Nayland Hearn, right?" I'm like, "Yeah."
I think you did the whole "who's asking?"
Yeah, I did. Well, yeah. Who wants to know? I might know Nayland Hearn. Oh, well, and he basically wanted to join the crew, etc. And we're like, aha. So I'm like, okay, fine. All right, so you're some sort of Jedi. What on earth could you possibly like? Yeah, you got those laser sword things. That's fine. I mean, we don't need more combatants. We needed more combatants. But Nayland would never think that way. Again,
right.
He's a smuggler.
We don't need more muscle.
I've got Ken Rocco in the fucking assassin droid. Whatever. What can you bring to the table? What useful thing could you bring to the table? Hoping that Will. Actually, I didn't even know he was a Jedi at that point. I was hoping Will mentioned he was good in a fight, etc. I was like, oh, I probably could have worked with that. But no, Will doesn't go that route.
Will goes, well, I have a unique set of skills. Oh, really? Really have a unique set of skills. Perhaps you could demonstrate them for us. He demonstrates them for us.
Because you were arguing against it too.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know this guy. Who the fuck is it? Last thing we need is a fucking human on the crew. Humans are nothing but trouble.
And so he Jedi mind tricks Kenny into saying it was a good idea.
Which Kenny doesn't never figured out.
Right. And you're going to say, oh, yeah, no, actually, thinking about it, he could probably be very helpful. And so I'm like, but you think it's a good idea, Kenny. And I'm like,
I think it's a good idea. I remember saying, distinctly, I think it's a good idea, Kenny.
At which point I pull my blaster on the Jedi. I'm like, okay, fuck you.
And his character freaks the fuck out. Like, what did you do?
I mean, she's Force sensitive. That was she took the Force sensitive feat. That's it. She wasn't
Yeah, just because she thought it was a neat background thing to be Force sensitive.
Right. And Will's like, what the fuck? What?
Poor Will. He thought it was like showing an actual unique skill he had, which is true.
Totally was, and it was a good skill.
It's a really good skill, but it was also like it was exactly the wrong thing to do with that particular group of people, which he had no way of knowing.
Right. Because I mean, like he was fucking. No small part of it was just he was actively fucking with one of Nayland's crew.
Right.
Which is a big no-no for Nayland.
Yeah, which is verboten.
Yeah. Like, that's one of the few ways you'll get Nayland to, burn you to the fucking ground. It's like, oh, no, you don't screw with my crew. These are my people. No. He would never admit that.
No.
Well, no,
that would be like...
correction.
Of course
he would never admit that to them.
Right.
Well, yeah, but at any rate, so, yeah. He was able to convince it, talk it down. And it was the really funny thing is he would see me completely just befuddling people with fast talk. He was like, "How is that any different than what I did?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm giving them a chance. I'm talking to them. It's their own mistakes they're making. You're using spooky witch powers to screw their minds directly.
You're a sorcerer using space sorcery.
There's a lot of amusing bits of like Will being sort of Will's character being utterly befuddled by Nalem's hyper competence in certain areas.
Yes.
And doing things that are bordering on impossible. And, like, there's this one wonderful bit where Nalem pulls off just like some truly ludicrous tricks, astrogation tricks. And he's like, "That's just bloody impossible." I look back at it. "Oh, it's bloody impossible," says Mister. "I can fling a car and he said at a Sith using the power of my mind."
Which honestly had happened in that exact same session.
Yes.
Oh, that was when you did the holocron forgery for the Crime Lord.
No, it was before that.
Was it before that? Okay.
No, that was the hyperspace jump when the Navi computer was blown up.
Right. Okay.
And Chris is like, "Okay, so the DC for this is gonna be really high. I'm aware. All right, I'm gonna burn a force point and roll. Oh, I rolled a 20. Well, plus my astrogation skill, that's going to be a lot. Yeah, my total's 42. Chris is just like, "What?" I love his head with his like, "Is 42 enough?"
She distinctly has that like slight grin that was like, "Yes, it's absolutely enough," but it's funny
absolutely.
to ask.
That's great. I think the thing that I think I like best about one of the things I liked about that crew actually was as much as there was contention between a bunch of us, like I didn't trust Will's character or DY Leland's character at all. I didn't trust either of them and didn't like them. I eventually I respected Leland's skills and I actually ended up respecting Jack as a person, but I didn't like him.
Right.
For various reasons. I never admit it, but I liked Ken Rocco. But like, and we all liked and were very protective of Hannah's characters, Natu.
Natu? I think it was Natu.
She was very much the Kaylee of the crew.
Oh, she was totally the Kaylee of the crew.
Like, and it wasn't just the fact that she kept the ship running. I mean, it was just that she was a good kid, she was likable, and she was helpful, and she was good to all of us. So, I mean, it's like, yeah. Of course we like her. Fuck not with Natu, or you will get the wrath of the entire crew coming down on your head.
Yes.
It's like, no, fuck you. Including hers, which is not insignificant.
There was some bit I remember for that game where our rebel liaison officer is giving Natu shit. So like Kenraku like gets up in his all growly Wookiee, and she's like, "Not right now. You're not worth the points." And like my face drops. Chris is giggling because he knows exactly what he just said. I mean, clearly the liaison officer doesn't, but Chris knows what happened.
Right.
And I was like, "No, Katie, no, stop."
Oh. Yeah, there's a lot of... There's also the wonderful bits where Will's character utterly failed to understand Nalem's motivations. Like, he thought Nalem was actually motivated by money, which was hilarious.
Yes. No, money's just a way of keeping score. Weirdly enough, I think Nalem and Vorkos would understand each other, but not like each other.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Completely. There were two things Nalem there were three things technically, but one of them overlapped with one of them that Nalem absolutely loathed: pirates, the Empire, and slavers.
Yep.
It's like those are
You had a big problem with Spice also.
well, yes. For again, one of the Nailum was a
Which made,
smuggler.
which made Kenny so sad because that time we got like a literal ton of space cocaine, and Kenny wanted to keep it around and make it into furniture.
I was just like, nope, I'm spacing that shit. Which I will point out.
But we can make it into furniture. It'll be the most expensive furniture in the galaxy, but no one will understand why. It'll be great.
The best part of that is, like, that was one of the few times that Jack and Nailum actually completely agreed.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, no, get that off the ship. Nope. That stuff is nope.
But it's space cocaine. We can do stuff with it. It'll be funny.
DY wanted to sell it because, duh.
Because DY was a droid.
Yeah.
A completely amoral droid.
And Natu didn't care.
Right.
She's like, whatever. Oh my god. But yeah, God, that game had a lot of really, really... That was one of the best games Chris has run that I've been involved in.
It was a very good game, yes. When Chris is on, he is really on.
Yeah.
But when he gets tired, it quickly falls apart.
I believe it.
But
yeah, they... I'm trying to remember the other really good bits. The number of times we just utterly baffled our rebel liaison. We're just...
Yeah.
She did not understand us.
She didn't understand any of us. Because Kenny's whole point was he was largely just in it for the fun of it.
Right.
And it's like, I'm a Wookiee. I live for fucking ever. I can get to money when I'm old.
Well, no, the big thing is, like, there are bits she got about us. Like,
yeah.
She got that none of us liked the Empire. Like,
for obvious reasons.
Right. And, like, she also, like, she also, like, that was the thing that completely baffled her about me, was, like, my abject loathing for the Empire and my utter refusal to join the rebellion.
Yeah.
She's like, what?
Yeah.
I forget what my stated reason for not wanting to join the rebellion was. I don't remember.
I don't remember, but it was largely because you were basically inherently contrarian and anti-authoritarian.
That's part of it. Also, I think I thought they literally had no chance in hell of actually winning.
Yeah.
So I was willing to help them out, but, like, actually joining, no.
No, I am not joining the dark. I am not joining the losing side of your silly little war.
And that was also the spot. It's like, yeah, I'm not getting involved in I don't want to join up with the side in a war. That's stupid. That just gets you dead, especially the losing side. So sure, I'll help you screw with the Empire. I'm more than happy to do that, but bounty hunters I can deal with. An Imperial fleet, not so much.
That's largely Vorkas's reason for not wanting to join the rebellion and thinking it's silly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you can't win. You're never going to win. Also, the whole like reference for the Old Republic, which Vorkas has issues with.
Right.
I mean, Vorkas has a lot of issues. He is not a well-adjusted person.
No.
He just hides it well.
Oh God! I'm remembering our infiltration of the Imperial prison base.
Oh right.
And the bizarre planning that we all came up with together.
Okay, Nailum, I really want you to hear this out, okay? Now, here's the thing. We're going to get some explosives, and I'm going to sneak in there. I'm going to set them up here. I know what you're going to say. I know you're going to tell me no, but just hear... No, I think it's a good idea. Listen, just understand what I'm trying to say here and hear me out. What?
I said that's a really good idea, Ken.
What? Because there had been a running gag that Ken Rocco's first instinct is to use explosives to fix any problem, which Nailum would always shoot down because it was almost never a good idea.
But you're setting up to be A, be a distraction, B, like blow up their armory, and I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Which of course meant I now had to set up all the thermal detonators in a smiley face.
I think the best part about that was you actually eventually just like Kenraku just enveloping Nailum in a giant hug after that.
Yes.
Like, what? Ah!
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh,
How did
oh,
he get a bug into the office? I put on some technician overalls, walked in seeing and needed to check something, and dropped an open comm link in his potted plant. Huh.
yeah, that was the best part. It's like, no, she knew I got into the office because I had, and
Right.
I got sent out because he was on a call with somebody, and she was lamenting the fact that it was like, and I said, as on my way out, I'll drop an open comm link set to this frequency into the plant, and made a sleight of hand roll, etc. And so our rebel contact was like, it's a damn shame you couldn't bug the officers. I know there's no way you could do it. I was like, oh, just tune into frequency X, Y. She's like, what? How did you? I dropped an open comm link into his potted plant. Look, I'm a crook, Genesia. Cheap and simple plans are my stock in trade. But she is this like rebel commando, and she's like thinking of like she's like, there's no way you get a bug in there, like the classic sort of bugging type. Like just drop an open call. It's like it's a short-term plan. I'll be going back in there to do my technician work later. I can retrieve it then. It's like, of course I'm going to drop an open call. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because Chris saw me got what I was doing, but he knew there's no way this is a rebel contact. Oh god, the number of times Nalem pulled off the whole I'm just a harmless little Celestin technician. The other thing I liked about Nalem's typical way of disguising himself was ditching him. It was basically just ending up with him ditching his more ostentatious clothing that he usually wore.
Yep.
Because Nalem wore like a giant white. He wore like a giant white duster and a giant wide brim white hat and a bunch of stuff. And underneath, he was wearing basically technician's coveralls. So it's like, okay, I need to disguise myself. Well, to almost everybody, one Celestin looks like another. So hat off, coat off. Let's see. Can Rocco take my blaster? Not to hand me that toolkit. I'm now a technician that nobody will ever suspect. I love shit like that.
Yeah.
Again, cheap and simple tricks.
It was that was a fun campaign.
It was a lot of fun. God, what was the other really?
Kenrako ending up in a jet-powered suit of power armor.
That was great.
If you give me any option to dick around with power armor in a game, I'm going to dick around with power armor in a game. It's I can't resist its siren call. It's just the truth of it. So even if it makes no sense for my character, I'm going to do it. This also includes pilot mechs or fuck around with dinosaurs.
Yeah. God, I'm trying to remember the other really. Like DY had a couple of absolutely brilliant moments.
Oh, like the Speaking of dicking around with dinosaurs, there was
this is a great story.
So way back in the midst of time, Iron Kingdoms was published under the third ed Open D20 rule system, which is a lot of fun. And a friend of mine decided that he wanted to run the whole Witchfire trilogy, which is this big module for Iron Kingdoms. And we do the whole thing, and I'm playing a Paladin of Morrow because I decided that for a change, I will play a good guy. We had a thief spy in there, and a gun mage, and a trollkin fighter, and what was Hannah playing? She was playing a bard. Fortunately, Peter wasn't in there. So we get to the end of it, and the culmination of the big fight involves the Scorn attacking a race from past the deserts on the border, attacking the major city the whole campaign's based out of, and along with the deposed king that has come back, and the teenage necromancer wave that we've been chasing for most of the campaign, raising an army of the dead to help fight them off. So, we've got zombies fighting what pretty much boiled down to Persian Nosferatu samurai. With giant war beasts and everything. And it's a big, crazy fight. And it's on this, and the central fight's on this big, giant bridge. My character gets distracted by a Scorn war beast. Now, back then, war beasts were very ill-defined. and as to what they did. And Matt had interpreted it as being because the Scorn were described as having this big thing on like surgery and mind control through surgery and all that other stuff. That basically there was a howdah on top of the head of what was effectively a Tyrannosaurus, with a bunch of levers and whatnot that fed into the brain, which is how they controlled it. So, I do the whole, like, Legolas, but with a sword and shield, parn charge at the damn thing. Actually managed to pull it off. Get up in the howdah, kill the pilot, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm in a dinosaur mech. Okay, I'm going to try to pilot it. You have no training whatsoever. I'm going to try to pilot it. Eric, there's no way you could figure this out. I'm going to pilot the dinosaur! So I'm out of the fight trying to figure out how to pilot a dinosaur because there's no way you're going to get me out of the dinosaur at this point. Alexia, the teenage necromancer we've been chasing most of the time, has managed to drive off the Scorn from the bridge, and is now dealing with the artifact sword and muttering something about it. And the people that were there were Roach's spy, who wanted to see what would happen, Hannah's bard, whose first reaction to anything she doesn't know is to run away, and Chris's Trollkin, who had just had the shit knocked out of him, was therefore busy eating a sandwich. And I'm sitting there like, guys, don't do it. We're all sitting there. The people that aren't there, including the guy eating the sandwich and the guy in the dinosaur, are like, oh my god, do something. Fucking do something. Why aren't you doing something? Hannah goes flying by. Oh, we're doomed. Roach, do something. And she breaks the sword. Okay, what happens? Zombie apocalypse. So we're like, oh, zombie apocalypse. At the end of the campaign, she breaks the sword to zombie apocalypse. You're all killed by a rising tide of dead. Guess what? There are a lot of in the town right now. A lot of dead.
Yeah.
But I'm in a dinosaur. I don't care, Eric. You're killed by zombies. Too many zombies for your paladin to deal with. But I'm in a dinosaur. It says right here, if they do not stop Alexia, it is a zombie apocalypse. Campaign ends, everybody dies.
Oh, God.
So yeah, I blame that one on Roach and Hannah. All they had to do was take the sword away from her.
Yeah, it's totally not your fault either for being distracted by the dinosaur.
Nope, totally not my fault.
Uh-huh.
I am totally blameless in this. Like, if you give a kid candy, do you blame the kid for eating the candy?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that was how I through my own personal obsessions and not my characters, managed to end a campaign in a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, God. Oh. It occurs to me, we've talked about it a bit before in the past, but I do want to talk a little bit about the Iron Kingdoms game you ran.
Oh, yes.
Because that was
Yes.
that was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I don't think I did as good a job as I could have,
Well,
but...
Well, it was the first time any of us had played the system, so...
Right. So, let me see here. You were playing Smythe, the bounty hunter alchemist.
Yes.
And the glue to the whole group. Like, that group would not have worked without you.
Yeah. Wasn't my plan going in, but yeah.
Hannah's thief highwayman? I think that's what she was.
Yep. From Kador.
Yep. She eventually picked up Pistolier.
Yep.
Leland's pugilist cutthroat.
Yep.
Who was a gobber.
Yep.
Technically, there are racial restrictions on pugilists, which I thought were stupid, so I removed them.
Yep.
So he was the murder gobber. It was the murder gobber that punched everything to death.
Yep.
And an utter prick. That was very much Leland, like, figuring out how big of a prick he could play.
Yep.
Who else is there? Will's character, who Will was at that point not showing up very often, so was largely regulated to an NPC.
He was
He
the
was
man-at-arms
Man-at-Arms
Stone Sorcerer.
Stone Sorcerer. Yes.
Tolkien.
Yes. Who else is there?
Chris.
Oh, and Chris. Chris is Trollkin Cutthroat Duelist.
Yep.
So yeah, they were team bad guy that wanted to be good guys.
Chris's character was actually pretty decent guy. Overall.
Chris's character was a decent guy. Henna's character was very much the Khador expatriate who still very much loved Khador,
Yep.
despite being largely banned from entry on pain of arrest and likely death.
Yep.
Renzik, the murder gobber, was just an utter asshole. He was just an utter asshole. Like, in most other games I've played in, he would not have lasted past the third session because someone would have killed him. Just on principle. But that's not how that particular group worked.
No.
And yeah, it was funny because after like 2 combats, which I had set up largely to for you guys to get used to how the rules worked, you guys came together as like this well-oiled machine of murder.
Yeah.
You guys basically went, okay, this is how all of our abilities interlock, and this is the order in which we need to do them in order to make sure Eric never wins a combat. It's not like I didn't try a bunch of different possibilities against you guys. They were just like, nope, this is how we adapt the plan to that, and now it's dead.
It was really... Well, I mean, we just had this giant tool bag of stuff plus 2 murder machines.
Yes. Plus Henna's fucking Alpha Strike.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, her Alpha Strike.
Yeah, turns out a military pistol with boosted attack and damage on the first round of combat will kill most everything.
Yeah, and then there's me doing virtually nothing actually directly lethal, but making sure everything actually worked.
Yeah, just setting everything up. You're shooting to combat aura.
Yep.
Because the team would not have worked without that.
No, dear God, no.
Because basically between you and Hannah, like that was what you guys did, and Will's sorcery. Will being the friggin' fulcrum everything turned on.
Yeah.
It's like, here, I will sit in the middle and let you guys do what you do. I will protect the squishies.
Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, smoke grenade there. See,
Yep.
Those guys could be a problem. They could charge Chris and do really bad things. Smoke grenade between them and Chris.
Yep.
And you're like, but I would.
God damn it. Okay. The biggest fit I gave you guys, I think, was with the Celifax.
Yes, that was bad. The Cephalax was bad.
I'm actually kind of proud of that campaign.
Oh yeah, it was great.
that adventure.
Yeah.
Because that was me basically going, how creepy can I make it before they go nope, and can I hit the right tone?
And we eventually noped the fuck out.
You eventually noped the fuck out. Yeah, there were 2 paths you went down. One led to the surgery, the surgery theater, and the other led to the reclamation vats. And you chose the surgery theater instead of the reclamation vats, which was creepy and gross, but not as creepy and gross as the reclamation vats.
Which we eventually got to.
Yes, which is when you know the fuck out.
Yeah. But yeah.
Chris was getting so... I remember Chris getting so frustrated with that because it was like, okay, so the Celifax is now going to spend one of his recursive feat points to boost telekinesis to turn you around so you can't charge the Celifax and those drudges get back strikes against you. What? That's the 3rd time, Eric? Yes, that's what he does. He can't hit Renzik. He knows he can't hit Renzik. His only hope is to keep Renzik buried in enough bodies.
Oh God. Also, I remember the Grey Lord running in terror from Resnick.
Yes. Well, that Turnion had been dogging you guys for like months, and eventually had seen what Renzik does to like Man of War, Doom Reavers, Iron
Warjacks.
Fang. Yeah. Warjacks, yes.
Light Warjacks. I mean,
No, that Kador does not do light Warjacks.
well, but he didn't see us fighting any Kadoran Warjacks.
I think he did see you fight the
No,
Juggernaut.
we did fight the Juggernaut, but we didn't break the Juggernaut. We just shoved it into the water.
You shoved it into the water because there was a fight on the docks.
Yes. We're like, nope.
And Chris getting annoyed with reach weapons was really funny.
Yes. But yeah, like
why are the Doom Reavers stopping 2 inches away from me? Because they have great swords and therefore have reach. But that's dumb. They're bloodbending berserkers. Yes, they're bloodbending berserkers who are not stupid. Also, there are Grey Lords telling them what to do.
You see that stick he has? That lets him control them. Oh.
It was mostly just Chris being annoyed because he couldn't kill people on their own turn.
Yes.
Which is something he very much enjoyed doing.
Yes. And he got to do it a fair bit, but yeah.
He got to do it a lot. He just couldn't. I just didn't let him do it all the time.
Yeah. But yeah, that game again was about. I think some of the best parts of that thing were the inter-party sort of interactions.
Yes. Like Chris's character trying to like keep the peace between yours and Resnick.
Because one of us would have killed the other eventually, probably.
Yes. And Resnick never would have seen it coming.
Well, no.
Leland knew that what you would do, but there was no way he could justify Renzik doing it, and he knew it.
He knew there was no way he would ever see that Renzik would ever see Smythe deciding, "I've had enough of this shit."
Welcome to dysentery. Or at least it looks like dysentery. Dysentery is a problem, you know, sometimes.
Welcome to you are unconscious, and I'm now going to deliver you to one of the people who have put a price on your head.
There are a lot
as a
of people
way to get them
price
less
on his
pissed
head.
off with us.
Yeah. There are a lot of people that had a price on Renzik's head.
Yes.
He was not a popular person.
No. Because I wouldn't have murdered him outright.
No. I could totally imagine you giving him chemically induced dysentery, though.
Yeah, probably.
And having him shit himself to death. Because A, as far as anyone is concerned, you would be blameless. And B, you would have thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Well, I would have thought it was funny.
But yeah, Smythe absolutely loathed Resnick.
Yes.
He was a necessary evil to to actually keep the company working, though, at the time.
Yeah. Well, that's because Resnick had he had some feat or ability that was basically amounted to friends in low places, the only one with it.
Yep.
So basically, that he was how you got a lot of your more unsavory information.
Yep.
Plus, you know, it was an engine of destruction in close combat.
Yeah.
Of course, the rare occasion where he did actually get hit, he usually crumpled.
Yes, well, he was a gobber.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It's one of the campaigns where my character disliked the majority of the party. Like,
I don't remember you having much of a problem with I can't remember Chris's name. Doc. I don't remember you having a problem with Doc.
Doc, yeah. Ben Doc, that's what it was, yep.
Yes.
No, he was the character I didn't have a problem with Ben Doc, and I liked Will's character.
Right.
And like, yeah, Will's character, I like the two, I'm okay with the two Trollkin. I like this one, I can tolerate that one, I don't trust and dislike the Kadoran thief, and I loathe the gobber.
Oh, the fucking Hannah's shenanigans on the boat.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, one of the adventures they went on was basically they're hired for protection on this riverboat, which is how they ended up running afoul of the Kadoran Grey Lords.
Yep.
The boat was smuggling untaxed goods into Kador-occupied Lael, which is a country Kador had recently conquered. The untaxed goods were wines and booze and chemicals and stuff that would be restricted but wasn't necessarily illegal.
Right.
This is for the resistance. And the wine wasn't actually what was important, was what was written on the back of the labels. So Hannah's character eventually figures out that that they're working for the ladies' resistance. And while she isn't welcome in Khador, she's still very much a Khadoran patriot. So she needs to figure out what the fuck the resistance wants with this shit and stop it from being an issue. So she goes down to the hold late one night, picking entirely the night that I had marked off on my notes to be the night that the Khadoran infiltrators would get on the boat. Gets in the hold and discovers what's written on the back of the labels. So she starts fucking with the labels, like covering them in tar, tearing them, that kind of thing. So they're no longer legible. Which is when she gets jumped by the Khadoran Manhunter. Manhunters being combination of woodsmen, scouts, and assassins used by Khador. So the fight breaks out between the two Manhunters and the rest of the crew. They eventually get killed. I think one of them just gets driven off. But and the person that hired them finds out what happened to the labels. Like, fuck. Well, they didn't get all of them. It's a good thing you were down here, or they could have gotten all of them. Good job on catching those guys. And has like, yes, that is exactly what happened. I totally saved your shipment from those guys that I heard. Yeah.
Oh, God. That game was yeah, that was yeah, that whole adventure was a giant session in Hannah's character, my character, being at odds with each other constantly.
Yes. Because, well, she's still a loyal Khadoran citizen despite not being allowed in there anymore, and you wanting to do the job and having no love for Khador. Because, let's face facts. Anyone that isn't Khadoran has no love for Khador.
Right. Yeah. Also, my character was Signarin.
Yeah, that's right. Smythe was Signarin. I forgot that little bit.
And he wasn't like driven or anything like that. He was just,
He was just a merc, right?
Yeah. Well, he's a bounty hunter and a mercenary.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other games? Any of the off-stream games you want to talk about a bit?
I think we've run through most of them.
I mean, the only thing we haven't talked much about are the that went on for a really long time, were any length of time, were the Feng Shui game and the Mech Warrior game.
Right. Oh wow, yeah, those guys. Everywhere you go explodes, Marcus. Yeah, that was another one
too.
Oh, right, the space pirate game.
Yeah.
Where we were not as bad of people as we were in the freaking Farscape game.
Yeah.
We were still bad people, though.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Captain Glorf was a bit of a bully, and a coward, but was also completely full of himself and knew how bluster worked.
Yep.
He was a fun character. He was not a nice person, but he was a fun character. Like, however, I really enjoyed the Mech Warrior game. That was pretty awesome. If only because So in the MechWarrior game, Peter's running it using the not inside mech thing is using GURPS because MechWarrior as an RPG is fucking terrible.
The newer one that Catalyst put out's okay, but I'm not.
Yeah,
I think I still prefer GURPS as a base system personally.
I would agree with that. So we decide we decide at random we're going to do a MechWarrior campaign using GURPS rules, and you had figured out like a long time back like basically feng shui sticks for GURPS with mechs.
That was in largely my friend Peter Shaw who came up with those.
That's right. Yes. So we did that, and there was what were our characters? There was my character Finbar McDougal, who eventually became Major Finbar McDougal. He basically eventually became the de facto leader of our mercenary crew. Finbar was a proud son of the Northwind, which means space Scotland.
Yeah.
Loved cheap cigars and good beer. Never not wore a kilt. Just even when it was inadvisable to do so. And loved his atlas, which was a family heirloom from all the way back during the Star League. We're pretty sure it's just a chip of laminate on the dashboard that's part of the original mech, but it's there. And was very much very proud about his family history and could recite his lineage all the way back to before the Star League.
Right.
There was the Baroness. I forget Hannah's character's actual name, but she went by the call sign Baroness.
Yeah.
Who was a deposed Steiner noble. With a pink catapult, who sat back and rained fiery death on people with her missile launchers.
Yep.
And had a very it was very much like a very orderly mind. She was very strict. She was a tight ass. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
And ended up very much being my major domo.
Yep.
There was Chris's character, Mad Meg, who was from the periphery, basically where space pirates live, with her thoroughly customized Warhammer that has totally been the family for years. Honest, shut up. Yes, it's got a lot of lost tech. What are you saying?
Well, it didn't have the lost tech till later.
No, I'm pretty sure it started out with the extra light engine.
You guys weren't allowed to start with lost tech.
Oh, okay.
No, it just had a boatload of medium lasers.
Right.
Oh no, I think she had double heat sinks. I was like, there's some lost tech you're allowed to have. You had to pay points to have access to some.
Yeah, because I remember Chris specifically building the thing to have 0 open critical slots.
Yes. It was the double heat sinks.
Yeah.
It was basically So at any rate, yeah. So
there was Will's drunken Solaris gladiator with his Black Knight. Will was basically playing Brad Pitt's character from Snatch.
Yeah.
Right down to just barely intelligible marble-mouthed accent.
It was amazing.
It was kind of brilliant, to put it mildly. It was.
Oh my god!
Wow.
He did a great job with that. Mickey was great.
Mickey was a load of fun.
And Leland's dwarf polymath.
Yeah,
he was pretty good at everything. He just wasn't a great mech warrior.
He was a basically the jack of all trades and master of some.
Yeah, I mean, I described.
And he had the Wolfhound.
Yes, yeah. He was your scout.
Yep.
But he was one of the smartest people in the group also.
Yep.
And was surprisingly competent in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, which was weird.
Capoeira, if I remember correctly.
I think so. Yes. He he described it as fighting like Yoda in Attack of the Clones.
Yes. That was a weird game. That was a weird game, but a lot of fun.
That was yes.
Also, the swerve I pulled on you people was so
Yeah.
good.
So like 3/4 of the group is pretty intimately familiar with the BattleTech timeline.
Yep.
So what Peter does is he establishes what year it is pretty clearly and keeps a pretty consistent timeline. So we know what. So we basically know the goings on without of the political era without arena without him having to describe it to us.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone has questions, they can ask Chris or Leland, who are fucking encyclopedic about that shit.
Yeah. Like yeah,
Then he drops the clan invasion on us 5 years early.
Yes.
We're like, what? Fuck you, Peter.
Yeah, I remember Chris giving me a combination "fuck you" and "well played."
Yes.
Because I've been dropping hints too up to that point.
Yes.
That they were all going, yeah, it can't be the clans. It's not time yet. That doesn't happen till 3050, and it's 3045. There's no way to say it is the clans. Of
God
course
damn it.
it's the clans, and Peter's just doing it early so that when he did that so that we wouldn't see it coming. And we'd actually react to it the way that our characters would react. God damn it! I'm like...
That first fight that was like, you took out the NPC right off the bat.
Yeah.
And so my character ends up just gunning for what we later found, what we all knew was a mad cat, but none of our characters did. And just the damn thing, like... Our mechs sawing each other's arms off.
Oh, the two of you beat the living shit out of each other.
Yes, like there was. My character survived by pure stupid luck, honestly.
That was also by being just slightly tougher.
Yes.
Honestly, you survive by being tougher. Like you're okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in an Atlas, the biggest, baddest thing. Why does this 75-ton mech badly outgun me? Well,
why is it
close.
as fast going backwards as I am going full tilt?
The best part is you're like, okay, well, I'll get in close where I'll outgun it. I'll get under its LRMs. Why are the LRMs not missing? Why are they getting more accurate inside the minimum range envelope? What the fuck?
I remember being aware of that, but being like acknowledging that Finbar would have no idea and playing it that way.
Yeah, the realization of how badly outgunned you were was beautiful.
Yes. Partially because it's been a long time since I've played BattleTech, and I didn't realize how badly I was out. Eric didn't realize how badly Finbar was outgunned.
Yeah, but Chris and Leland knew exactly.
Yes.
That was a good fight too.
That was a good fight.
I also remember one of the encounters you guys had in the mech part of the game, where I threw you up against a battle line of partisan tanks, the ones, the 4 AC5s. Yep. I remember like saying,
whatever, AC5s. Wow, these hurt a lot more when there's 4 of them.
Well, each tank has 4, and there are four of the tanks. Wait a minute. That's 16 times. That's actually a lot of damage when you add it up. Oh, so that's how those things are supposed to work.
And the
best part is
so we ended up taking the Mad Cat pilot as bondsman.
Yes,
which she explained the concept to us. So like, huh? Okay, sure, why not? I've heard of dumber things.
Like she surrendered, and like you captured her, and she was not exactly happy. She was okay. So they were, for those of you who know anything about BattleTech, this was all Clan Jade Falcon, who are part of the Crusader faction. There are two major factions in the clans: the Crusaders and the Wardens. And the Crusaders want to basically invade the Inner Sphere and basically take it over to reestablish the Star League. And the Wardens want to protect the Inner Sphere from outside, from any potential outside threats until the Star League can reform itself. Largely, that's it in a nutshell. It's oversimplifying stuff.
We should also state that the clans are basically the military force from the former Star League, the sort of galactic nation of BattleTech, who fucked off after basically a giant coup started and everyone started fighting each other.
Yeah.
So you ended up with like these different houses with their own galactic nation states, warring over who got to wear the big hat. To the point where they realized that no one was going to wear the big hat. They didn't establish any rules. And the clans had fucked off to unexplored space, and or the not the clans at the time. They basically the Star League military proper, and just lived out there for 300 years.
Yeah, but at any rate, so she was a warden in a predominantly Crusader clan.
Yeah.
And hated her superior officer with a blinding passion.
Yes.
Because he was an asshole. He wasn't incompetent, but he was an asshole.
Yeah, I remember like pumping her for information, which was what convinced Finbar that she could be trusted with a mech, because she gave it freely and willingly, and it all turned out to be accurate.
I mean, it took you a while to actually figure out how to ask her the right questions.
Yes.
What questions you'd be willing to answer. And it took you a while to realize she was answering certain questions without answering them.
Yes.
And then you asked her like how they she often commented about you guys handling prisoners differently than the clans do. And you got her that's when you got her that she explained the bondsman thing. And you're like, huh, I can use that.
Yes.
And you did that, and she's like, oh, well, now I can tell you everything you want to know. Now I work for you.
Excellent. Okay, then.
It was a really well done scene.
Yeah.
And she became an integral part of the unit eventually.
Yes, she did. And the information she gave Finbar about what the clans were and what their philosophies and traditions were was just I had so much fun fucking with them with that information,
which she thought was hilarious.
Yes.
No, the best part is when you actually did the big sort of response to the one of the opposing commanders' challenge.
Yes.
And you came back at him with your lineage and basically pointed out that, yeah, we didn't go AWOL, asshole.
It was something like, I am Star Colonel Mucky Muck of the Jade Falcon clan. Blah, blah, blah. What defends this world? Step up to the comlink. This is Finbar McDougal of Northwind Highlanders, Colonel of the McDougal's Misfits. Son of so-and-so, daughter of so-and-so, and all the way back to before the Star League. And what does a bunch of traitorous AWOL miscreants want with my planet?
He hated you so much for that.
Which I totally used. It was great.
Oh, I totally played him not as smart as he could be in that fight.
Yes, it was lots of fun. No, I didn't call them miscreants. I called them cowards.
Yes.
Which is what really got under his skin.
Yeah, you basically insulted General Kerensky, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
For not having the stones to stick around and put things back together, help put things back together.
Yep. That's because it's honestly how Finbar felt.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the Highlanders, the Ardani Light Horse.
There are a couple others that ended up turning also.
Yeah,
that can trace all the way back to there.
Yeah, those are the two big ones. Yeah, that was a fun game. That was a lot of fun. I love the BattleTech universe, and it's one of the few military settings I actually can feel confident in running.
Mm.
Largely to the fact that I know it really fucking well. And also, it's actually it's really well set up for that style of campaign, RPG campaign.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, FASA does some great world building.
Yep.
And it's really FASA did great world building. It was really interestingly put together, had a lot of internal consistency, made a certain logical amount of sense. And yeah, it's just a shame they couldn't design a game.
Yeah. Like BattleTech is a perfectly serviceable tabletop war game.
Yes.
Its merits.
I have more problems with it than you do. I have a lot
no.
more problems with it than you do.
Well, again, its relative merits will vary by taste mostly.
Yeah. I find it's great for a certain kind of mecha campaign, for RPGs.
It's honestly, for individual mech on mech battles, it's largely pretty good.
Right.
For actual like larger scale combat, it becomes slow.
Yes.
Like if you only have to focus on one mech at a time, that helps it immensely. And the way damage works feels really good for tracking, for being like feeling like your personal mech.
Yes, which is why I think it's great for an RPG.
Yeah.
But it all falls apart as soon as you get past 2 mechs. At least for me, it does.
Sure, and that's fine.
And yeah, that's basically my feelings on BattleTech. Great for an RPG, terrible for a war game.
Yeah.
Just too much minutia.
I disagree, but that's me.
Yeah, well, you also play Starfleet Battles, and I play 40K in War Machine. So
I played Starfleet Battles, and I will say Starfleet Battles is a game I think works brilliantly for one-on-one ship combat, and is terrible for fleet combat. Like, you want to talk bogged down into minutia oriented. Still a great game, though.
Yes.
But at any rate, we have been going really long, I just realized.
Yeah, we've been going quite a bit longer than we usually do for Grognards.
Yeah. So I think we'll wrap things up here. There are a bunch of other campaigns we've been involved in, and we've talked about it on and off here and there.
Together, no less.
Yes. Honestly, I think one of the sort of the things that I think one of the things takeaways I think you can take away from this, honestly, one of the things that makes the campaign so memorable is the character interactions.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Like plot elements are great, and there are plot elements that will stick in your memory and such. But I honestly feel that character interactions are they're what drive the best campaigns, and they're what are most memorable.
Right. Like, for example, the Mech Warrior game we're just talking about. Like, we talked a lot about the cool stuff Finbar did, but what I remember most was Finbar and Mad Meg constantly butting heads as he tried to instill some kind of discipline on this fucking pirate child.
Right. And the sort of weird your relationship with Hannah's character was fantastic.
Yes.
Because you're this sort of rough and ready Highlander, and she's this rigid noble, and yet there was this weird sort of respect and admiration.
We very much like plugged each other's holes, is what it was.
And
that sounded dirtier than I meant it to.
What? Yeah,
that sounded dirtier.
Well, because you guys had there was nothing like
remotely like romantic between our characters, like at all. Like it was very much like we took one look at each other, and I would kill that. We would kill each other in a minute.
We could work together brilliantly. Like you eventually realized that the two of you worked really well together as a team.
Yes, like she covered all the sticks that Finbar didn't have a head for, while Finbar covered all the tactical stuff and the people stuff that he was good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually played a character who was good at people.
Yes, and it was really cool. No, the closest thing to like a romance like thing that was at all started developing was between you and the clan lady.
Yep. Oh, and Chris's character, Mad Meg, and my tech, who was also my little brother.
Right. Yeah. I let you roleplay him a fair bit.
I remember having the Meg is not to be fucked. That is the wrong thing to say to you. You're going to do it more. Just be careful. Use protection. And when she breaks your heart, just come talk to me.
That was a good game.
It was a fun game.
It
That was
was.
a lot of fun.
At any rate, that's going to do it for this week, folks. Thank you for Bardic DM for suggesting the topic. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you guys got something out of it, if just entertainment. I mean, we love talking about games because, duh.
Yes.
But that's going to do it for this week. We normally save time in the end of episodes for viewer questions when we get them. Don't have any particularly right now. But if you've got questions you'd like us to answer on the show, feel free to email them to us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com. Or if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can post it in the comments there. If you've got feedback for us, criticism, constructive criticism, ways we can make the show better, we love getting that. Please send that to us.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you've got show topic suggestions, oh God, we love those.
Those are the best. They really are.
Because, A, means we don't have to brainstorm up an idea for what the fuck we're going to talk about this week. Also, it means we're actually going to talk about the things you guys want to hear us talk about. Which, makes us the show easier for us to do, and it means you get what you want. Win-win.
Yes. Everybody wins.
Yay,
Especially
winning.
what really matters.
Yep. Yeah, if you've got yeah, God, I'm still kind of tired. Oh, right, yeah, we record the show most Monday nights at roughly 7 p.m. Eastern here on twitch.tv/MechaGM. And if you keep an eye on my Twitter handle is @MechaGM. I tweet out when the show's going to go live or when I'm firing up my stream for anything. So keep an eye on that, and you'll know when the stream's going live for the live recordings. Thanks to the live audience for being here. We dig you guys. You guys are great. We occasionally take questions from the audience too when we get to the question part. And normally I'd sort of throw it open to the audience here, but I often do. But we're really late.
We went on about an hour and a half longer than we intended to.
More like an hour longer.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. My perception of time is poor.
Yes. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until we see you guys next, be happy, be safe, and keep on gaming, everybody.
Bye, humans.